I'd say I'm a relatively healthy person. I make a lot of food at home, I take regular exercise, and ultimately I grew up with the crunchiest almond mum in the world. And my dad. He's definitely an almond dad too, and super crunchy at that. Although I grew up with good examples of how to eat well, like many millennial women, I have fought to maintain balance and joy in the food I make, despite the onslaught of 90s and noughties media. It's been a road that has been challenging at times, and still attempts to make a comeback if I'm having a less than perfect day. But I refuse to allow my joy to be taken. So in today's video, I want to show you what I'm food prepping for the week ahead and why, focusing on a realistic and balanced view of my food choices and touch on the difficult issues that impact the way I eat at different times of the month. So if this video resonates with you, feel free to give it a like if you like it and consider subscribing as it really supports my channel. A quick thank you to Thrive Market for sponsoring a portion of today's video. Okay, grab a cup of tea and let's get into it. Good morning everyone, I'm just getting ready to do my food prep for the week. I like to do food prep rather than full-on meal prep because I just find that you can mix and match things, it's much easier to prepare, and then, you know, you have a bit more flexibility. I was just looking at the 2 sample meal plans that I put in my book that you can still pre-order. It's coming out in a couple of weeks, which is very exciting. And I just wanted to get some inspiration for dinners or lunches and things like that. Once I had a look through here, I also keep a recipe book, which is this little one where I write down all the ingredients to every recipe, and I just keep this on me at all times so that if I pop to the shops I can get stuff that I actually need and make sure I'm only buying food that will actually go into a recipe that will never get forgotten about in the fridge, because I hate food waste. You probably know this if you watch my channel for a while. There are a couple of things that I don't have that I need to do, so I just decided to put on some chickpeas to cook while I am going out to get some of those ingredients. With the chickpeas, we're making a chickpea curry, and I'm also making a crunchy chickpea, kind of spiced chickpea topping that you can put on salads and just kind of mix into anything that you want a little bit of extra protein and a little bit of extra flavor. I'm making a few different dressings this week. I'm also making a noodle salad. I'm also making a ragu, a roasting ragu. I've made this before, but I'm changing up a few little different things today. And I'm also making a puttanesca sauce. I love having one of those half in the fridge and half in the freezer for those days when we get back from like a really big hike, or I just really want a lot of pasta. Then I will cook some pasta and just take out some puttanesca sauce and mix it all together. I'm also going to be making a marinated tofu. And then I was thinking of just making a very simple kind of jam, kind of compote thing that I can just put on the top of my porridge in the mornings, because it is starting to get cold now. The mornings are definitely getting around 7 or 8 degrees, which you can really feel. It's a little chilly. So it's nice to have something that you can add for a warming dish. I'm also going to experiment with making a kind of apple pie or chai oatmeal to see if because those flavors are really like autumnal and they just make me feel super cozy. I have also fed my sourdough starter, so hopefully that rises enough and then we can make a fun sourdough for this week, but if not, then I'll make that tomorrow. Sometimes my sourdough starter just needs a little bit of extra help to get going, probably because I ignore it just a little bit. Let's get started. I basically have everything I need, so we're going to start with the ragu. And this time I'm going to be making it with lentils and some impossible mince as well, to really mix those flavors and to get a really good boost of protein. I really love this roasting pan ragu for many reasons. It has a huge amount of flavour, lots of different excellent protein sources, but above all else, it's really easy. You basically put everything in a food processor and then put everything in a pan and bake it for like an hour and 20 minutes. It's definitely a drop and go type meal, and it's based off the recipe from Ottolenghi's book Flavour on his roasting ragu. I just like to add a little bit of impossible mince because it just makes it a little bit more exciting. I was able to get a lot of what I needed for this week's meal prep from Thrive Market, so while we get started on the puttanesca sauce, let me show you what I got. Oh, and if you haven't heard of Thrive Market before, they're a membership-based online store where you can buy healthy, organic and sustainable products. I'm really trying to up my protein and diversify what I'm eating, so I added some beans and some protein bars to this week's order. Generally, I like to have like a bunch of legumes or beans already cooked in the fridge so that I can add them to any meal. This week I got some Great Northern beans, and since I'm doing so much hiking at the moment, I also got some Aloha plant-based protein bars, which have like 14 grams of protein per bar. I haven't tried these before, so I'm excited to see what these are like. Thrive Market is also great because they have so many high protein options, and you can also shop by your values or diet. I also actually got 2 plant-based mac and cheese because we're going camping next weekend to a really beautiful spot, and I thought that these would be really fun to try. Shipping for orders over $49 is free, and there are no hidden costs or additional fees. Plus, if you find a lower price somewhere else, they'll match it, which is pretty cool. Oh, and I was able to find some vanilla paste by Lala, which is the only ethical and sustainable vanilla product I've been able to find. So we're going to make some scones this week too. So if you're interested in checking out Thrive Market, you can get 30% off your first order and a free gift worth up to $60. I will leave the link in the description below, so go and check that out if you are interested. Okay, I'm going to start chopping for the puttanesca sauce, put everything in the food processor just to make everything nice and easy, and then we'll start getting that cooked. There's something really nostalgic for me about a puttanesca sauce. I'm not quite sure why, but when we were growing up, there were definitely a few recipes my mum would make on repeat, and this is one of them. So every time I feel a little homesick, or I'm just thinking about making something hearty and cozy that makes me feel like home, I always think about this sauce. It's actually fairly straightforward with the ingredients that are in there, like capers, lots of vegetables, black olives, and veggie stock. But as all those flavors come together, it really makes something truly delicious and unique. Of course, you can bulk out this meal if you want to have some extra protein by making some protein pasta. Or you could definitely add something on the side, or actually add some beans to the sauce itself. The next thing I meal prepped was a salad that I based off a rainbow plant life recipe, which you probably won't be surprised about since I am probably at this point like a super fan. I'll leave her recipe in the link below, but mine is, I guess, slightly different. I use a different sauce. I add some soba noodles instead of rice noodles, and I do this because soba noodles have a higher protein content and are also a really good source of fiber. And I don't make the noodle sauce that she makes. I make a slightly different peanut sauce. We actually use this peanut sauce for lots of different things, and it definitely originated from this salad, but I've started to add more things like lime juice and a little bit of lime zest, and then also the stems of some coriander, just so that those get used, because I hate food waste, and this is a really good way to add all that coriander flavor whilst also using the leaves for the actual salad itself. This comes together really easily because you're basically chopping up everything really small, and the only thing that needs cooking really are the soba noodles. I use edamame just to try and get a bit of diversity in my food sources, but I've also made this with tofu just baked in the oven, or some tempeh as well. I like to meal prep this salad knowing that it's for 6 meals for 2 people, so about 3 days worth of lunches. When it comes to salad, that's kind of the longest I'm willing to have a salad in the fridge before it kind of goes a little bit less than perfect. After the salad, I decided to make my chickpeas because the oven was still on from the ragu, and I wanted to make as much use of that as possible and be efficient. With the chickpeas, they're super simple. I just throw a bunch of olive oil, salt, and different spices. You can put on whatever spices you like. I tend to put on some chili powder, some cumin, some coriander, and lots of salt. Once they cool down, I just stored them away and got on with my sourdough. I haven't made a sourdough for quite a while, so I was actually a little bit nervous. I feel like you can lose a sense of how to make something if it's been a while, and because it's been the summer, I really haven't been reaching for my sourdough starter to make bread. And also I tried a different recipe this time with a little more wholemeal and a little less water, so a lower hydration. And to be honest, I'm actually really happy with the way that it turned out. The holes are a little big, which I can't remember if that means it's over or underproofed. Maybe a little under. But overall it tasted absolutely delicious, so I was very happy. Okay, so next I am marinating some tofu. I always like to marinate tofu at the beginning of the week because it makes it so much easier to just make something tasty. And also I like to press them as well because then you get all the liquid out, or as much as possible. And this really helps to allow the tofu to absorb that marinade so it's really nice and tasty. These are all just things that can help you throughout the week to make your life a little bit easier, or just to make it a little bit quicker. Because for me, pressing tofu, you have to open the packet, press it for like 20 minutes, and then also like pat it. What's the word? Press it with a towel just to get any excess liquid off as well. We also had a lot of basil still in the garden. The evenings are cool and the mornings are cold, but the days are still pretty warm. I mean, it's like 24 degrees, so it's very warm. So basil is still doing well in the garden. So for one of my marinades, I'm actually going to be making a red pepper kind of pesto, so that when I make the tofu, I can add in that sauce as well. So it will taste a bit like pesto, but then we'll have the additional sauce as well that I can add to anything that I like. So I'm just going to give this a rinse and then we'll make the red pepper tofu. I got some fire roasted peppers, so I'm going to use this to make the pesto. It just takes like 40 minutes out of the whole preparation process because you can just drain these, put them in the blender with whatever else you're going to put in your pesto, and then it's done. So quick. Let's get started. For the red pepper pesto, I basically used any nuts and seeds that I had in the cupboard because I didn't have pine nuts, and to be honest, pine nuts are pretty expensive, so they're definitely a special occasion thing. And then I added just everything that you normally would to a blender and just gave everything a blend. Once the pesto was ready, I poured it over the chunks of tofu that I had pre-torn, and I'll let that marinate for at least 24 hours before cooking, and maybe using with some pasta and some extra pesto or a salad or a couscous salad or something like that. The next one I made was a herby mustard and lemon tofu. I've made this actually in a previous food prep video and I loved it so much that I decided to make a double batch this time. It's really versatile. You can skewer it if you want, or you can just bake it in the oven, or maybe even just a green salad. Okay, so it's the next day. I completely forgot to do this yesterday, but I wanted to make that triple berry chia jam. Honestly, I find that the most budget-friendly thing to do is to actually buy frozen berries. So I've just been allowing a kind of a bowl full to thaw, and then I'm just gonna blitz these up, and then we're gonna add our chia seeds. We'll taste it and see what it tastes like. Let's see what it feels like. We'll see what it tastes like. Obviously, if this is something that you think you would like, you can obviously add like a sweetener or something like that. I've had too many trips to the dentist over the past 2 years, so I'm just trying to be very mindful of the things that I am consuming. So I'm just gonna blend this up and then add the chia seeds. So let's do that now, and we'll do a little taste test to see what it's gonna be like. Obviously we'll need to leave it for a little bit so that the chia seeds actually absorb some of the liquid and will puff up, or what, bloat? It's not a very nice word, is it? I don't know what the right word is. Absorb liquid to become texturally different. I'd say I'm very careful about the things that I choose to buy because I really do try to live minimally, but in a way that I only have things that truly serve me if I really want it and I actually use it. And so honestly, I bought this little, like a mini food processor, thinking that I would use it a bit and that it would definitely be helpful, but can't tell you. Literally love it. I'm so pleased because I really hate buying things and then realizing that I'm actually not going to use it very much, but this I've used so much. I think the one thing I would ever recommend if you are thinking about buying a kitchen gadget is only a food processor. It is so helpful and it is so handy. If you put liquid in it though, don't overfill it because, well, I've been there and it was messy. So anyway, let's add these to this and let's blend it up. My frozen fruit wasn't quite thawed, so it came out a little bit like a smoothie bowl, like a frozen smoothie bowl that you would have, but that was fine. And then I just added some chia seeds to it and gave it a really good mix. And I left it out so that everything could keep thawing, and then the chia seeds would be able to absorb all the liquid that sort of comes off when they defrost. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you see the next one where I show you how I eat this food throughout the week. Just a reminder to join Thrive Market today to get 30% off your first order and a free gift worth up to $60. Okay, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.